Definitely want to welcome everybody to the Combined Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the classes of 2020 and 2021. Just because of COVID, they were delayed. They are the 6th and 7th class inducted into the Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame, and the first one started in 2015. 35 inductees are members of the first 5 classes. We'll be inducting 8 more today, bringing the total to 43. The plaques from the previous inductees can be found in the west approach hallway outside the entrance of the new wing by the gymnasium. Feel free to visit those today whenever you're roaming around. Obviously, I'm Cody Parks. I'm a graduate from Minneapolis, Kansas here, and from 1997. I'm proud to be, okay, I'm sorry. There are some people here that still love me, so. And obviously, I'm a member of the Hall of Fame. I was inducted in 2018 and currently the wrestling coach at Blue Valley Southwest High School in Kansas and a teacher also. And obviously the master of ceremonies today. I'm a replacement for the founder of the Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Jack Larson, whose currently health status is not what we like, so thoughts and prayers for him, and hopefully that he can come back and continue to MC the event. But like I said, I'm not too bad of a fill-in, I think. So. You know, and I think this thing is, you know, and just some of my personal comments here is that I think this is a really cool thing because I grew up here, born here, you know, spent my life here, and when you're a young kid growing up, you're always looking like, what's the Super Bowl? What's the thing you want to do? What's the thing you want to accomplish? What do you want to be? And what I found was there were these people in history and these people in class and even people in school that I wanted to be as good as, better, or like, or be able to do what they did. And the names, you know, as I've been involved in this and I get to see and I start reading about these athletes and some of these people and all these things they accomplished, some of it is not surprise to me because I know the history, and some of it is a surprise to me. And I'm amazed and excited and blessed to even, you know these people, you know, the foundation that they laid. And to get them to be acknowledged is amazing. And I think what I probably like the most about it is the debate. You know, the debate that it sparks. You know, and I said when I got inducted in 2018, I don't think I'm the best wrestler ever wrestled here. And you know, and I think there's some better ones that put together some, you know, great careers that I think will get acknowledged over time. And I think it creates a great debate of, you know, how do we get them there, or how do they get nominated, and all that process. And you know, I think records are made to be broken. So I'm hoping people and wrestlers would aspire to do better than me and go and look at my plaque and say, I can do all those things, and I want to do better than that, and strive to put my name on that wall someday. And so, you know, that's what I probably liked about it the most is debate, and that we're capturing our history and we're capturing our community's history, and that these amazing people and amazing efforts that they did are not forgotten. So, like I said, some wonder how the honor and how you're selected. On our annual basis, a list of biographies and nominees are presented to a 20-member voting committee. The voting committee members live in central Kansas region stretching all the way to Ohio. Most of the graduates are from Minneapolis High School and will participate in high school athletics, if not beyond. The committee members are asked to present their votes for the new inductees, rank them 1 through 5 or 6 based on the combination of factors, including success at athletics at USD 239, community area schools, and beyond, if they were given the opportunity to do so. Other factors considered have to do with the nominees' professional lives as adults, and their social contribution as a whole. We welcome suggestions from the public for potential nominees, future nominees. If you have any, feel free to suggest those to Dale Leach. In the back, this is Mr. Leach. He puts all this stuff together. I'd be remiss to not recognize him and his efforts, because I can tell you that I feel like he's the Minneapolis historian for athletics. And you know, my brother texted me and said, you know, you can watch, we were talking about a game the other day, and he sent me a link that's on, you know, we were talking about a game from 2004, 2005, and he sent me a link, and I could literally watch it on YouTube, and I thought that was pretty cool, some things that I had heard about that I wasn't able to see that I can now see. I think that's really amazing. All right, so moving on, our ceremony format consists of the introduction of each inductee in alphabetical order basis with a multimedia presentation. After the multimedia presentation, the inductee is asked to approach the podium to be recognized and receive their Hall of Fame plaque, which they can keep for their possession. Each inductee will have the opportunity to speak to the gathering in a short address if they would like. So starting off, the first inductee, and this is for the class of 2020, is Dean Larson.
Our first inductee into the Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame class of 2020 is Dean Larson from Ada High School, the class of 1957, in basketball and baseball. A two-sport athlete with the Ada Wildcats, lettering 4 years in basketball and 3 in baseball. In basketball, he helped the Wildcats win 2 Twin Valley League championships and posted a 4-season record of 74 wins versus 24 losses. His career scoring was 1,612 points, an average of 18.3 points per game. He was valedictorian of the Ada High School 1957 class. He walked on to KSU basketball, where he upgraded his skill set on the freshman squad before transfer to Fort Hays State University, effective the 1958-59 year, and then as a 3.5-year career starter. After a one-semester transfer idle period, he helped lead the Wild Tigers to a banner season of 23 wins versus 4 losses, winning the CIC Conference Championship, the District 10 Championship, and a 4th-place finish in the NAIA tournament in Kansas City, Missouri. In his senior season of 1961-62, he was the team captain as the Tigers again won the league title and the District 10 Championship, qualifying for a second trip to the NAIA tourney, where they lost in the first round. Dean was awarded all-conference honors for the honorable mention twice, and then first team as a junior and second team as a senior. His career scoring was 807 points, a 10.5 average, career rebounds 600 for a 7.8 average, and his best season free throw percentage was .897 and 60 and 61, which is still a Tiger record, with a career free throw percentage of .815. Dean graduated from Fort Hays State in 1962 with a bachelor's degree in mathematics and later from the University of Kansas with a master's degree in public administration. His Fort Hays State post-career honors include the 1962 Bush Gross Award, which is the outstanding senior athlete for the 1961-62 year, honor letterman ring for earning a minimum of 3 letters, and in 1999, induction into the Tiger Sports Hall of Fame. In non-high school baseball, Dean played K-18 League for Hat McCain for 3 seasons and with an Ada Delphus tourney team. In 2004, at the age of 65, his career on the diamond resumed with senior slow-pitch softball, in which he is still active at age 80. He has received All-American, All-Tourney, or MVP awards in 13 tournaments. In 2019, his team won the SPA World Championship, and he was voted MVP. Dean attended the Kansas City Royals fantasy camps in 2014 and 2015. In 2015, he pitched in a game versus the Royals alumni team, where in 1 inning pitched, Dean held the Kansas City alumni scoreless and hit a single off of Charlie Liebrandt. After Fort Hays State University, Dean taught and coached at Hayesville Campus High for 1 year, then began a career in the Kansas Insurance Department, where he became Executive Direct Secretary to the Insurance Commissioner, a capacity in which he worked for the balance of his 32-year career. After retirement, he worked for the Blue Cross Blue Shield, then EDS as a managed care provider rep within the Medicaid division for a total of 13 years. He coached youth baseball, softball, and basketball for 17 years. Dean and Sharon White Larson live in Tecumseh and have been married for 55 years, have 2 children, and 1 grandchild.
So now we'll have Dean come up, get his plaque if he wants to say a few words.
Hello, everybody. Hello. First of all, I just want to thank the Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame for inducting me into their Hall of Fame. And I'd also like to congratulate the remaining members that are going to be inducted today out of the 2020 group and the 2021 group that's going to be done after the 2020. Right now, I'm 82 years old and catching up with what I sent Dale. And I'm still playing senior slow pitch softball. In fact, I play in Topeka and a team there. Mitch Saunders and I, in fact, are on the same team. But he runs a whole lot better than I do.
I don't hit as good as you.
Thank you. Anyway, and I also play, as you saw up there, on a traveling tournament team. They're from St. Louis, and we have to go a ways to find somebody that's 80 years old to have a team nowadays. It's getting harder to do. Although the other tournament I went to about 2 weeks ago, there was an 85, what is called a major team, which that's better than the main group of teams that was there. An 85-year-old, and they were from Florida. And they hit the ball really, really well. That's why they're a major. You know, I think that I've had basically 82 years being involved with sports, and I just kind of bring that back to when I was born up in Delphus, by the way. My dad was there and said, we're going to name him Dean. Well, he was a big fan of Dizzy Dean, the St. Louis Cardinal pitcher in the 1930s and 40s. I guess the good point is that he didn't call me Dizzy. So I appreciate that. You know, the coaches and teammates that I've had through the years have been a really big influence in my career. And I'll start out with Ada High School. Ada High School has had a lot of really good athletes through the years, and I don't know a lot about the ones before the time I was there because I guess you'd say we were poor and stayed on the farm most of the time. But anyway, I know there's been some afterwards, and I'll mention some of those. But when I was there, the senior class was really good. They had athletes to play football, basketball, and baseball, and they did really well. In fact, the basketball team won the conference. And there were some guys on there that I looked up to. Gary Sechrist is one of them who's here, and I know he lives here in town. Laverne Wesley, and I know he used to teach and coach here. Dennis Seidner. And you know, the ability that some people have to go on and do things is like Gary Sechrist, for example, is 85 years old, and he's still involved with the Senior Olympics. And he is in 6 different games that he participates in. And Gary, that's really good. Somebody for 85 to keep doing all those things. You know, I would watch those guys. Being a freshman, you come in and what do you do to learn? Well, the coach does one thing, but the players are another thing you want to look at. And that's what I felt about Gary and Laverne and Dennis and so on. The second year I was there, Gene Stone came. And he was a big influence in my career. He not only improved our team, but my ability. Gene was a pretty big fella. He was taller than I am, I think, and I know he was bigger than I am. And we did well after we got some experience on us, because our first year we were kind of inexperienced, but our junior year we did well and won our league conference. And senior year, Coach Stone had a real challenge. We only had 7 boys come out for basketball. And you think, gosh, how in the world do you even play? Well, fortunately, he got some help from Gary Sechrist, Dick Seidner, which I'm sure some of you know. Dick lives close to Minneapolis. And maybe some other guys to come in and be a team, so to speak, that the varsity Ada team could play. And I had to play against Coach Stone. And you found out how intense he was about the game, even if he was just playing practice ball against us. And of course, since he was a much bigger man than I was, I learned a lot about what to do and what not to do with big guys. But there was also some good sophomores on the team when I was a senior. And one of those is here today, Ken Becker. He was a sophomore, and Jerry Mullen, some of you may have known him. Both of those guys, when they were seniors, went on to get to the state tournament and took second place in the state. They were the first team to ever get there from Ada, and congratulate them for that. Ken went on and played at Sterling College. He did really well there. In fact, he's in the Hall of Fame in Sterling. And Jerry Mullen went on to coach junior colleges. I know he did at Coffeyville for one. Jerry started a service to provide information about junior college players to Division I coaches and help them try to find talented junior college kids. And I think he's still got that business going, although he's kind of getting the age he needs to start retiring, so I don't know whether he's still doing it for sure. I also have another Ada standout that I want to introduce to you all by the name of Stone, Clemma Stone. Clemma left Ada and started working on being an official, and had the distinct pleasure of being the very first female official to officiate boys basketball. And in 2017, and she was inducted into the High School Activities Association Hall of Fame for being the very first woman official to boys basketball. You want to stand up, Clemma, so everybody knows who somebody that Carol Ann Chickson, I don't know. Heskin, okay, is her daughter, and both of them drove up this morning from Arc City and Belle Plaine to get here. It's a long drive. Thank you for coming. After high school, I walked on to K-State, and fortunately, I had another really good coach, Ernie Barrett. I don't know whether you know anything about him, but Ernie went to school in Wellington, Kansas. In fact, there was a coach by the name of Cade Saran that I happened to get involved with at Fort Hays that was coaching that high school team until Ernie was a senior, and coach left and went to Fort Hays. But Ernie became an All-American at Kansas State University. He was a big man, 6'8", and I don't know what he weighed, but he was at least well over 200, I know. After getting all those honors, he went to the NBA, played in the NBA. He quit doing all that and came back to K-State, and they hired him. They wanted him because he is a very charismatic, I'm sure I'm pronouncing it right, fellow. And he does a lot of work, had been doing a lot of work for him, getting money coming into Kansas State. But Ernie was kind of a sometimes coach to our freshman team. We had 20 people. You know, back then 20 freshman players couldn't play on the varsity even if they had the ability to do it, because they didn't allow them to play. But we had 20 freshmen that came on board. And as to my knowledge, only 2 of them had a scholarship. The rest of us just walked on. Ernie Barrett was a tremendous coach. He was very good about physical exercise and what to do, about screening people out, etc. And I fortunately was able to go to that practice time early, and Ernie was there early. So he got involved with helping it, whoever was there, and we might play 3-on-3 or whatever. And of course I learned a lot when you give up about 5 inches to a guy that big. I stayed there, of course, just that year, and then went to Fort Hays. I had to lay out the first semester because of the moving from a Division I school. And fortunately, I came into Fort Hays when a forward was graduating and didn't want to continue on school, so that left an opening for a starting position. And Coach Sharon thought I was the guy to take the place, and I did that season as well as 3 more. We became the very first Fort Hays team to win the CIC, the District 10 playoff that we had to play in order to qualify to get to the NAIA. And so we were the first one to get there from Fort Hays. 32 teams. You have a lot of basketball in a short period of time, and we fortunately won the first 3 games, and then we lost the next 2, which put us as 4th place finish in the NAIA. The one to get in to be the Final Four was an amazing story in my mind. We happened to be in the same hotel with the West Virginia Wesleyan University. Their players were big. They had a 6'10" center. They had a guard that was about 6'3", who averaged like over 30 points. Their record was 34-1. And we kept hearing in their Stetson hats, long overcoats, cowboy boots, "What are you farmer cowboys doing here? You're plowboys," I guess was the way they worded it. "You need to go home." They kept telling us that for 3 days. And then we played them. Our team played probably our best game of the year, and we beat them 98-83 and sent them home instead of us going home. That was a lot of fun. Anyway, from there, my junior year, I mentioned that, that I put that .897 free throw average, and nobody's broken it since. Another little record that I kind of like is my 600 rebounds is still 10th. And having gone 60 years from being there, and with the big guys that are now going to school, and the more games they play, we probably average 22 games a year, and they're playing a lot more games than that now. I'm just kind of amazed that that's still 10th on the list. My senior year, we also won the CIC in the District 10, but lost the first game. But I might mention, we started that year out with getting 3 transfers from a junior college. They were all good players, and one of them happened to be kind of somebody you might know from Minneapolis, Kansas, Tom McCain. He was also one of our starters that year and the following year. Coach Saran was always a great coach. I really loved him. He had a tremendous sense of humor. And I enjoyed being around him and playing cards with him because he was a pinochle fanatic. We had a bus to transfer to get somewhere to play. And the first thing he'd do is get in the back of the bus and say, "Come on back, we're going to play pinochle." That's what we do the whole time. One other cute little thing about our team, back then we didn't have a shooting clock. And Coach put in a thing that I'll just kind of say that whenever the coach felt like we were down just a few minutes left to play in the game, he would stand up, twirl his finger around, and we knew that that was time to run what we called the wagon wheel. That was a stalling tactic that we could use because we didn't have to shoot. And we basically used half of the court and kept going in a circle. And when we did that at home, the fans at home would go crazy because they always felt we're near a victory. And I cannot remember ever losing a game when we started running it, because we only started it if we were ahead. One other little funny thing to me, when you saw a picture up there of me shooting a hook shot, I shot hook shots in college. Part of that is because when I was growing up, I had a basket in the garage that was detached from the house. And I was, 9, 10, 11 years old, imitating Clyde Levellet and shooting hook shots. So I shot some in college. I don't think I did in high school. But one day when I was a junior, we went on a trip to Hastings, Nebraska. And you athletes know this. Sometimes you don't feel good. But it's not the flu, you just end up with a temperature. And sometimes when you have those temperatures, it just makes you that much looser with what you're doing. And it was fast and furious because that's the way Coach Sharon played. We were up and down the court as fast as we could get there. And in one night game against Hastings, I was just kind of going out toward the free throw line. Somebody threw me the ball. I shot a hook, and here was the coach over here. He was about a foot off the ground at that point. What are you doing? And it went in. And he never said anything to me. So anyway, that's some of the good things with, I got a lot of stories, and I know I sent a lot of stuff to Dale, and I told my wife, I said, I think I need to write a book about all these little stories that are on the sideline of things that happen. And, I always felt like Ada has always been somebody that had people that would support the athletes. If we would have a game somewhere, they would be there. Town would disappear. And I feel like they're really supporting me today because I have a lot of people here that have traveled quite a few distances from Arc City, Topeka, Lincoln, and so on. I want to thank all of my family for being here. My wife Sharon, son Mike, Angie, Aaron. I appreciate you all coming. I also appreciate all the relatives that are here. And I've got my roommate from Hayes here. I have my one classmate left from our high school, Sandy Sechrist, Powell now. And I really appreciate you all coming. And I guess to kind of close, I would ask, just so kind of everybody knows who the support is, would all of you that came because I asked you to come stand up? Thank you very much.
Okay, our next inductee into the 2020 class is going to be P Shull.
Our second inductee into the Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame class of 2020 is P Shull from the class of 1975 in football. Phil had a stellar career both as a running back and linebacker at Minneapolis High School. As a junior, he was named All-League in the Northern Kansas League and All-State at the tailback position. These honors as a tailback were repeated in his senior season and added the same honors as the linebacker, showing standout success as a two-way player. In his senior year, Phil was included in the Big 8 magazine in their list of top 100 Midwest football players and named an All-American by the High School All-Americans magazine of Cambridge, Massachusetts. He is the only MHS football player alum that has been accorded these dual types of honors. The Lions were NKL champs his junior campaign and finished second the following season. An eye-popping game for Phil was versus Plainville in 1974, where he rushed for 126 yards at an 8.4 per carry average and was credited with 33 tackles, 20 of which were unassisted. Phil scored 150 points on 25 TDs in his rushing career at MHS, which is 8th all-time. For rushing records at MHS, Phil is 3rd overall for career yards with 2,290, and 1st overall for career rushing games of 100 yards or more of 11, and 5th overall for career rushing TDs of 20. Phil's best rushing yardage in a game was 216 yards at a 5.0 average per carry in 1973. His number of tackles versus Plainville are number 1 for game performances at MHS. In wrestling, Phil lettered for 4 seasons and twice was state tournament qualifier. He also lettered in track in 1973. After MHS, Phil received a scholarship at Hutchinson Junior College, where he lettered for 2 seasons as a running back as a freshman and a linebacker as a sophomore. After college, Phil came home to farm. Then he ran a construction company from 1985 to 2013, and in 2014 became the co-owner of North Central Steel with his dad. Phil lives in Minneapolis. He has 6 children and 16 grandchildren.
Phil, come up where you see his plaque and say a few words.
Well, there's one thing that I haven't changed since high school. I'm still the quiet guy, so I won't talk very long. In all seriousness, I do think the opportunity to be introduced into the Hall of Fame. It was a long journey, but it was a fun one, and I couldn't have done it without the coaches and the teammates I had. I thank every one of you. Thank you.
The next inductee into our class of 2020 is Terry Robbins.
Our 3rd inductee into the Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame class of 2020 is Terry Robbins, Minneapolis High School class in 1965, in football and track and field. A 4-year letter winner in both football and track and field from 1961-62 through 64-65. In football, the Lions during this time brought great excitement to MHS fans as they produced winning records twice, the only such MHS squads to do so from a period of 1956 through 1970. Playing both ways at 6 foot and 220 pounds in the tough North Central Kansas League, Terry earned 2nd string All-League honors as a senior. In track and field, the following spring, Terry broke the existing MHS shot put record with a throw of 47 feet 3 inches, which had stood since 1956. Terry enlisted in the U.S. Navy out of high school, declining a football scholarship offer from Fort Hays State University. As a Navy CB, he served 2 tours in Vietnam, followed up by 2 years in North Africa. In 1968, during the Tet Offensive in Vietnam, he survived several attacks on a small base near Phu Loc, Vietnam, by the Viet Cong and the NVA, while unfortunately 6 fellow CBs lost their lives. After his naval service, Terry began his civilian life as an electrician by trade. Utilizing his mechanical aptitude abilities, Terry has spent a life being able to recognize mechanical needs, devising solutions, and producing devices to meet those needs as an inventor. He has invented several different products, 11 of which he has received U.S. patents, for which he currently markets in the U.S. and internationally. In 1983, his firm, T&L Robbins, began building several devices and parts of buses produced by Eldorado National. This business continued for 20 years and employed several individuals. Terry served on the Minneapolis Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department for 18 years and the Recreation Commission for 7 years. He coached youth baseball in Minneapolis for 15 years. His teams won several top-tier finishes in league and tournaments, finishing a third place in the 1993 K-18 state tournament. Through his work in and with the Recreation Commission, he was instrumental in building the South Baseball Diamond, the Hat McCain Field, at the fairgrounds, along with many other improvements in the North Diamond, and played a major part in the completion of the basketball courts located to the west of the Minneapolis Library. In the 1990s, his sons began dirt track auto racing. Through this, Terry and his family saw a need for a quality racetrack in the area. They built and ran the state-of-the-art 3,000-seat Minneapolis Raceway from 2006 through 2011, drawing upwards to 120 drivers, their families, and fans to Otto County on a weekly basis. After retiring from this endeavor in 2012, Terry has since continued on with his successful work as an inventor. Terry and his wife Wanda continue to live in Minneapolis. Their 3 children are all graduates of MHS and live in Minneapolis and the Salina area.
Roy, would you clap? Terry Robbins.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks to the Hall of Fame for this honor. I accept this for our class. We didn't have a really great team, but we had 2 winning records in like only 14 years, so we did give the community a little hope that he might win a football game. Last time I spoke here with the microphone, it was speech class, and Maxine Johnson was grading. And I see Rick here today, and so I'll probably be graded and won't be pretty. This is quite an honor, really. Mr. Larson does all these things. I'd have a hard time playing bingo, probably. I do have kind of a cute story. We played a team called Concordia, and they were voted one of the best teams in the state. And on that team was a high school All-American named Keith Christensen. And if you notice, I got second team All-League. Well, he always got first team All-League. He was 6'5", 265, and every time we'd throw the shot put, he would win, and I'd get second. He ended up being a tackle for Kansas University and playing in the Orange Bowl and getting drafted in the 4th round in the National Football League and played for the Saints. But in high school, I found out that his classmates called him Pinky. So when we match up on the field that last game, I thought, what the heck? So I get up there, and I don't say Pinky, I say Pinko. So I said, how is it doing, Pinko? Well, Keith hardly got a tackle the first quarter because he would give his entire attention to me because I apparently wasn't one that was supposed to be calling him by his nickname. But we had a good team and we had a good coach. Our coach ended up being in the Hall of Fame, Garrett Wheaton, and they hadn't won a game in 27 straight games. And we played, as 8th graders, we played the high school up to the old state yard up there, and we played them to a 6-6 tie. And the coach was extremely mad at them, so he must have played his pretty decent players. But after our class graduated, they struggled for a few more years. But I had a chance to go to Fort Hays State, and I declined it. Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Little did I know it would be that much obligation. But we survived, we got home, and had a civilian life after. But I remember coming home after flying from Vietnam and watching a game down here, and it was like kids pushing each other around in the mud. It was like foolishness. But it took me years to get over that. And I finally did, and I enjoy the game as it is today. But if football was a car accident, it'd be a fender bender, and war would be a head-on collision. Thank you.
And our last inductee into the class of 2020 will be Ben Zucker.
Our fourth inductee into the Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame class of 2020 is Ben Zucker from the MHS class of 2002. As a multi-sport athlete, contributing significantly in MHS Lions' success in football, basketball, and track, Ben lettered multiple years in each sport. In his senior campaign, he quarterbacked the football team in his first ever state playoff win, was the point guard on the 2001 basketball team that took third at state, and also garnered 2 gold medals in the 2002 track and field state championship team. Ben melded his athletic skills into significant leadership roles in helping the Lions to NCAA league championships, playoff wins, and team hardware from state tournaments. In football, as a cornerback his junior year, Ben returned a fumbled 90 yards for a TD, helping to ignite a team second-half scoring spree of 46 unanswered points for an MHS win. In his senior year, Ben helped the football team win an NCAA league championship, a first for the program in 15 seasons. This was followed up by a first-ever state playoff win by an MHS football team after unsuccessful attempts by 3 previous squads over the decades. As a senior, he garnered all-league first-team honors as an offensive back. In that season, he passed for 1,197 yards for a 58.3% completion rate. Ben had over 100 yards passing in 7 games that season and produced 1,534 yards of total offense for 139.5 per game average. In basketball, he teamed with fellow Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame 2016 inductee Drew Weedle to form a menacing backcourt duo. As the point guard, he helped lead the MHS Lions back to that first state tournament in 40 years, which won a third-place trophy. Ben is in the top 20 career scorers at MHS with 855 points, scoring 32 points in an individual game high, and scored 20 points or more in 7 games. In the category of assists, Ben leads with astounding numbers for career with 485, for season with 181, and a game high with 16. He garnered NCAA All-League honors in both his junior and senior years, and had numerous all-area and all-state selections in statewide newspapers. After his senior season, Ben was named to the KBCA All-Star First Team and was a selection for the KBCA All-Star Game. In track, he helped lead the Lions to their first ever league title since 1979, and then won 2 gold medals on the 4x100 and 4x400 relay teams to help the Lions win their first ever state championship in any team sport. Ben contributed his athletic career as a point guard for the Bethany Swedes men's basketball program from 2002 to 2006. As a freshman, Ben helped the Swedes through a Cinderella run in the NAIA Division II National Tournament, finishing second. Ben lettered 4 seasons as a Swede, starting 3. As a senior, Ben averaged 10.9 points and 3.4 assists per game, garnering KCAC All-League Honorable Mention honors, and led the KCAC in assists. He is an assists, career, and season game leader at Bethany. Ben earned a Bachelor of Science in Business Management from Bethany in 2007. Ben and his wife Allison, along with their 2 sons, live in Kansas City, Missouri. Following is a 3-minute highlight video from a basketball state tournament win in 2001 versus Riley County, where Ben displayed his point guard skills. You'll also see a number 33 in white uniform who became a standout wide receiver for Kansas State University and the Green Bay Packers, Jordy Nelson.
has the ball. Into Nelson. Yes! Pushes it up. Yes! Meter rebound. Back to Ben Zucker. Yes! A three. Nelson baseline from 10. In! He likes that shot. He likes the baseline. Weedle has the ball. Pushes it back to Zucker. Zucker over to Nelson. Nelson back to Weedle, over to Zucker. Ben dribbles. Weedle for three. Kaboom! Comfort to Ben Zucker. Ben back to Brandon. Over to Weedle. Back to Brandon. Ben. Kaboom! Uh-oh. Well, he got over to Ben Zucker. Ben drives. Back to Weedle from three. Way out there. Kaboom! Zucker. In the Van Meter. Oh, yes, crossing, follow up. Back up, we had her to 12, we're down to 7. Nelson, baseline, back out to Zucker for 3. Shazam! Meter. Zucker. Shazam! Ben Zucker brings the ball up hard. Into Nelson. Yes! Brandon Comfort back to Ben Zucker. To Brandon. Brandon. Yes! There's a lion down there wanting everybody to get on their feet. Ben drives. Over to crossing from 10. Yes! Ben Zucker has the ball for the Lions. He puts it up from, yes! Ben, over to Weedle from 3. Yes! Zucker brings the ball up for the Lions. Cross dribbles, brings it, yes, sir! He breaks it all by himself, gets it to Van Meter, yes, and he's fouled! The bucket's good! Way out there. Oh, and now Zucker rebounds. He's double teamed, triple teamed. He's got to get the ball off. He gets it to Crossan, over to Nelson, to Josh Van Meter, into Drew Weedle. Yes, sir, folks, start the bus.
Ben Zucker.
Wow, that gets me excited. Well, first off, I want to thank the committee and Dale and Jack and Cody for announcing here. Congrats to all the nominees. I'm honored to be a part of a great group of athletes from Minneapolis High School. So it's a great Hall of Fame's a great thing. Like Cody said, I wish there were plaques on the board to look at every day when I was in high school to motivate you. So first and foremost, I want to thank my parents. You know, my dad, I can't tell you how many times I begged him to come shoot baskets in the yard, and every day before we went in to eat, he'd come do it. He never let me win, but he did it every day. So thanks, Dad and Mom. I vividly remember one time you played catch with me in the yard and you missed the ball and it gave you a black eye. But it never stopped you from going out there with me. So the sacrifice that you two made for me since the 4th grade is unparalleled. You know, we traveled all over during the summer playing basketball, and we never really won any tournaments or anything. We lost a lot, but I think those losses led to a lot of wins and success in high school. So thank you guys. Next, I want to thank my brothers, Chris and Joe. I can't tell you how fun it was to grow up with two brothers. Joe always looked up to me as a role model, and that really motivated me my entire career. And Chris, you were one of the biggest fans that I enjoyed the many years we played together, so thank you guys. Next, I want to thank my grandparents. They never missed a game. I think my grandpa Zucker watched the Beloit Sub-State Championship game every day until he died. When we laid him to rest, I actually buried him with that video. So, and my grandma Sarah is here today. She actually went to Hawaii with me to play basketball after I played basketball in Hawaii, and she made that trip with me. So, thanks, Grandma. I love you. I also want to thank the rest of my family members. Some are here today. I want to thank all of you for your support. I want to thank everybody in the community for your support through my playing years. There are so many of you to mention, but I want to know that I appreciate every one of you. It was so fun to be a part of Minneapolis high school sports. Sports created memories and camaraderies for me that I will have forever. Couldn't have asked for better teammates. Some of them are here today. I was fortunate enough to surround myself with some great athletes and some great coaches, and I want to thank all of them. Again, thank you to everybody. I'm very proud to be from Minneapolis. Thank you.
That concludes our introduction of our 2020 class. Now we're going to start with the introduction of the High School Hall of Fame class of 2021. And up first is the 1972 legendary, I'm going to say, MHS football team.
Our first inductee into the Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame class of 2021 is the 1972 Minneapolis High School football team. An undefeated regular season, unheard of in the laurels of the history of the Minneapolis High School football program. At least that was the case before 1972 and ever since that time. The fans of Minneapolis high school football had endured seasons of 2 or less wins from 1965 through 1970. A promising season record of 5 wins and 4 losses occurred in 1971, which blossomed to undefeated status in 1972, and the first league championship for the program since 1952. The 1972 Lions beat their 9 regular season opponents by an average of 28-4, including 3 shutout wins, rolling over their opponents by utilizing the wishbone offense and mounting a very stingy defense. 6 players were named to the Northern Kansas League All-League First Team. Their undefeated season propelled the Lions into the Class 2A state playoffs for the first time since the inception of the playoffs system in 1969. On November 10th, 1972, the Valley Falls Dragons came to town for a highly anticipated playoff game. Unfortunately, they left town as the victors with a 4-point win after a hard-fought battle by a score of 18-14. As a result, the 1972 Lions finished the season with an overall record of 9 wins and 1 loss, to tie the 1949 MHS team for the best overall season record in MHS history. Coach Dick Tatro and his Lions left a positive stamp on the program moving forward for the next several years, as MHS football teams produced 4 more winning seasons in the next 6 and claimed 2 more league championships. This made the decade of the 1970s definitely one to remember in Minneapolis high school football.
Okay, at this time, any member of the 1972 team, please come up and All of you can come up. You guys are gonna have to fight it out for the award. I'll let you guys duke it out. But as you come up, when you get up here, get them up here, Adam. That's right. And when you get up here, you gotta introduce yourself too. You don't just get a stand there, all right? And obviously I'm a coach. We're gonna start at one end and go all the way down, all right? Tell your name, who you are, and then somebody take it, and then the microphone's yours for anybody on the team that wants to talk, or if you have a representative, it's up to you guys.
I don't even know who these guys are. They're too damn old. Hey, just a quick message before I get started. Dean and I do play ball together, and I've known him for 7 years and never heard him say that many words in my life. We have Dean bat fourth, not to get him out of the way, but he's still that good. So, anyway, let's go down the line here.
Curtis Crossan. Daniel Windor. Doug Briggs.
Lonnie Saunders.
Rob Ponton. Mike Lott. Phil Beach.
Gus Gassman.
Jockey Stratton. Mike Muller.
Dave Harvester.
Phil Blue. Jeff McKinnon. Howard Cody.
Brian Kendall. Jerry Ayers.
Dave Hawk. Jim Crow. Rick Comfort.
Charles Johnson.
I'm Mitch Saunders, and you get to hear me talk. It's about freaking time. It's going on 50 years, man. And these guys are getting old. I think we have every starter here except 3 that have passed. Jack Bronson, Mark Mesker, and Jim Bateman. Just before Jim passed, his company put this field in up here. When he started his company, that was his plan, to one day put this new football field in. He spent a lot of his own money. And as some of us know, Jim could exaggerate just a little bit, but even if he put in half of what he said, it was a lot of money. But that was his goal when he started this company. And I teased his wife, Nancy. I said, with some nice field, now all we need is a video scoreboard. But she said, we've already spent enough money. Our football team had a 2-platoon system. And back in '72, especially from a small town, you didn't see that. And sometimes Coach Tatro couldn't be here. He was planning on being here, but sometimes he said the best games that he saw was on Wednesday at the practice between the two teams, because some of the teams we played, they really sucked. You knew how bad Minneapolis had been because I think every away game was their homecoming. So you only, but it worked out good for me because I ended up having 2 dates to the homecoming with a couple of their cheerleaders. So I'm proud of that.
You were a player.
Yeah, I was all around. But that Valley Fall game, I only watched that film once. That one sucked. I still don't know how we got beat on that one. I didn't even realize that Valley Falls went on and got second that year. But we've got all these people up here. Would my classmates stand? Classmates, please stand. They were certainly part of this. The seniors, well, it's kind of like a three-bottom plow. Seniors led the way. Juniors, they started following in. And the sophomores, well, they was just following. But still, as the saying goes, you still can't tell by the furrow how many mules pull the plow. So with that being said, I would like to tell all these people that I'm a better person for knowing them. Thank you.
I've got to add something. Mitch Saunders is one of the very biggest reasons that we had such a successful football team. I don't know how many people that are old enough in this room to remember, but at the pep rally before that 1972 football season, a guy named Mitch Saunders looked at the crowd and said, "We are going undefeated this year." I don't know who believed it in the audience, but this team believed it. That's why we went undefeated, because we weren't going to make a liar out of Mitch Saunders.
Okay, our second inductee into the 2021 class will be Earl Saunders.
Our second inductee into the Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame class of 2021 is Earl Saunders, an MHS class of 1956 graduate in football and track and field. Earl was a three-sport athlete and is thought to be the first athlete at MHS to letter all 4 years in football and track and field. Earl had an incredible combination of body size and speed. He excelled at both the fullback and halfback positions in football, and also on the defensive side at cornerback. He is one of the fastest 100-yard dash runners in school history, along with setting a new MHS shot put record in 1956. While no individual football statistical records for that time remain, Earl was a two-way starter for 3 seasons for MHS in the tough North Central Kansas League, garnering all-conference honorable mention honors in his senior season. That spring in track and field, Earl won the state indoor 60-yard dash in a reported time of 6.1 seconds. In the outdoor season, he ran a 10.1 in the 100-yard dash before a leg injury ceased his sprinting career at MHS. He continued to compete in the field events, medaling in both the shot put and discus numerous times. In the 1956 regionals, he established a new MHS shot put record of 46 feet 7 3/4 inches that stood for 9 years and today is 9th best on the MHS charts. Earl continued his football career at Pueblo Junior College in Colorado as both a fullback and linebacker, lettering 2 seasons and earning all-conference honors as a running back in both seasons, honorable mention as a freshman and first team as a sophomore. Earl graduated from Pueblo Junior College in 1958 with an Associate of Science degree in Industrial Technology. Earl served in the U.S. Air Force from 1962 to 66. He was employed by McDouglas Aircraft and then worked for 38 years in the Ranchos Los Amigos Medical Center in Los Angeles. During this period of time, he graduated with a B.S. in Business and Industrial Technology. He retired in 2003 as the Director of Building and Craft at the LAMC. He and his wife Ethel had 1 son. After his retirement, they relocated to Los Angeles, Nevada. Earl passed away on August 17th, 2014.
As Earl is deceased and his immediate family members all live in Nevada and California, we're going to go ahead and ship him his plaque. So he's not here to accept the award for a family member. The next inductee to the class of 2021 is Rosie Trout.
Our third inductee into the Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame class of 2021 is Rosie Trout, a Minneapolis high school class of 1952 in softball. Growing up in Minneapolis during World War II, Rosie was the only girl her age in her neighborhood. Her childhood playmates were boys, and she did all the boy activities of playing sports. When she became of age for junior high, her intent was to continue to play with the fellas, but alas, wasn't allowed to do so because of her gender. As in MHS, her sports activity was limited to being involved in the pep club. Her senior year, she, along with her other pep club members, petitioned the school administration to allow them to organize and play a tackle football game as a club fundraiser. Permission was granted, uniforms were checked out, and the game was played in front of a good-sized crowd at a 50-cent per head admission, each to help the pep club be very well funded for the school year. Oh, and Rosie quarterbacked her team to a win. The Delphos High School Pep Club challenged the MHS squad to a game, but the school principal didn't grant permission for the challenge game to be played. Outside of school, Rosie had athletic opportunities and participated every summer in the softball league coached by junior high coach Gerald Woody. By 1953, Rosie was playing for the Grays softball team in Salina after a recommendation from Coach Woody. Rosie had a passion for participating in sports that was being fulfilled through softball, something she was denied in school during junior high and high school years due to her gender and the time period in which she was raised. Starting in the summers of her high school years until she retired, Rosie spent 50 years playing out that passion in amateur softball. Her main position in softball was second base, and she usually batted second in the lineup with the goal of getting on base so that her team could capitalize on her speed and base running. The Grays softball team won 3 state championships during her 8 to 10-year career there. In the early 1960s, she took her skills to Kansas City, where she would continue her amateur playing days and professional life until her retirement. She played for the Kansas City Pyramids and the Kansas City Dons and a few other teams during this time. While her experience with the Salina Grays team kept her playing experience pretty much regional, her experience with the Kansas City teams took her all over the United States and into Canada on weekends. Her Kansas City teams played 4 times in the World Tournament in Stratford, Connecticut, though unfortunately they never won a championship through these double elimination tournaments. Memories of her career include heavy satin uniforms that made for a lot of hot games, and steel cleats which made for an ever-present danger in covering base. All-Star honors weren't awarded through her playing career, but her skills and passion for the game kept Rosie involved as a coveted teammate throughout. Rosie can be counted on as part of the pioneering group of women in the mid-1990s that played and kept women's sports alive and well nationally until Title IX congressional action started bringing women's sports to be encompassed at the local school and college level. To support herself during all these years, Rosie taught for 10 years at the Jobs Corps while also coaching Little League. She moved on to Multifoods Corporation, which was eventually acquired by ConAgra to give her a 20-year career in the elevator business in Kansas City. In the last 9 years of her career, she was the manager of the ConAgra elevator in North Kansas City, the only position she ever worked in where she received the equivalent pay for filling a work position that would normally be filled by a male. Rosie retired from softball and ConAgra in 2000 and returned to Minneapolis, where she'd been actively involved in the local VFW Auxiliary Post and the Rock City Board of Directors since that time.
And Rosie's not able to join us due to some declining health. Her plaque will be given to her through a family member. So up next, the last inductee into the 2021 class will be Kevin Williams.
Our fourth inductee into the Minneapolis Sports Hall of Fame class of 2021 is Kevin Williams. As coach of basketball and track and field from 1997-98 through 2005-06. Kevin graduated with a BA from Washburn and received his master's from Wichita State. As a collegiate track athlete, he twice qualified and competed for nationals in both indoor and outdoor track. Kevin arrived at MHS after teaching and coaching at Shawnee Heights High School. While teaching at Minneapolis High School, he was the head coach for both boys basketball and track and field, and assisted several seasons in football. The first few years in basketball were a struggle for win percentages, but by the 2001 season, a breakout was ready to occur. The Lions upset Beloit in the 2001 Sub-State Championship game, propelling the Lions back to the state tournament for the first time since 1961, where they eventually won the third-place trophy. The Lions wouldn't return to the state tournament again until 2004, but then did so for 3 years in a row. The Lions earned Final Four status at the state tournament in all 4 trips there with Kevin as their coach, and twice brought home second-place trophies. The Lions also won championships in 7 non-postseason tournaments during his tenure. Coach Williams' Lions won 4 consecutive NCAA League championships from 2003 through 2006. 4 out of the total of 15 in the 116-year history of the program. His overall record at MHS is 140 wins versus 72 losses, the most wins of any coach in basketball at MHS, while his 66% win percentage is second in coaching career stats for any coach in the program who was here more than 1 season. He is one of only 4 coaches in boys basketball at MHS to win 100 games or more during his tenure. Not to be outdone, once basketball season was over, the Lions enjoyed great success in track and field during Coach Williams' tenure. The Lions boys were NCAA League champions in the 2002 and 2004 seasons, 2 of 4 in MHS track history. The Lions won either first or second place in the state track meet in 6 of 7 years from 2000 through 2006. The 2002 track and field squad was the first boys athletic team at MHS to ever win a state championship, and first place trophies were brought home again in 2005 and 6 during Coach Williams' tenure. Kevin became an associate activities director and assistant principal during his 9 years at MHS. Kevin and his family moved to Tomball, Texas after the 2006 school year, where he briefly taught and coached at Tomball High School before becoming an assistant principal. Kevin is currently the associate principal of operations at Tomball Memorial High School. He and his wife Carrie and 2 children live in Tomball, Texas. Following is a short video interview with Coach Williams after his 3rd boys state track championship in 2006. All right, folks, here with our outgoing successful coach, Kevin Williams, going to Tomball, Texas, is it? All right.
Correct. Yes, sir.
As you'll notice, the wonderful state trophy here, even though it says 2A, it's not any smaller than the 3As he's collected. He's had 3 of these and 3 2As since the year 2000. There are three seconds since the year 2000, and as he's saying, 2 second place in basketball and a 3rd and a 4th. Easily the most successful coach Minneapolis has had in multiple sports, and we want to thank you for all your efforts and contributions you made to the youth in our community and helping develop their attitudes and skills.
Thank you very much.
And the
great kids, great community, great kids.
All the joys we've got to watch in the last several years, and these kids competing for you. What can we do to follow up with this in the future? I guess Mr. Shoup is going to be doing basketball.
Number one, we got great coaches coming back, and Coach Shoup's going to do a great job in basketball. And I don't know who the track guy is going to be, but there's a lot of material there to work with, and I wouldn't be surprised there's a 3-peat. in the future, and then track and field. And I know basketball is just going to keep right on rolling right along.
That sure be wonderful. That sure be wonderful.
Very exciting time.
I know you've had a lot of good athletes in the last several years to contribute to all this wonderful performances we've had, but I know there's been some good coaching going on from you and your staff to bring them into that. And
you got to have help. You got to have great coaches, and we've been very blessed to have great coaches that make a dumb guy like me look a lot smarter than I certainly am, and that's the part of it that doesn't get enough credit is the work that the other coaches do, and they're the reason why.
Yeah.
They're fantastic, and that's why I think it's going to just keep right on rolling right along. We got great coaches coming back.
We do hope that the tradition continues, and we're going to do everything we can to encourage them in that line to make sure it does. But
absolutely.
Again, congratulations to you as you head down south, and thanks for all your efforts.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody in Minneapolis for all your youngsters and your support, and we're definitely going to miss it. It's a new chapter in our life, but we're going to look back on this one with a lot of smiles and happiness.
Why don't you put that in front of you here, get a nice look at it, get zoom in on it. His last championship in Minneapolis. All right.
Kevin couldn't be here today. His daughter's actually graduating from high school, so receiving his plaque on behalf of him is Ben Zucker, one of his former athletes.
Well, I guess I want to thank everybody on behalf of Coach Williams. Obviously, he wasn't able to make it with his daughter graduating. He had both of his kids here in Minneapolis. His kids are 17 and 20 now, and both of them still call Minneapolis home. Talking to him the other day, he couldn't say enough great things about Minneapolis. He obviously, the kind of person he is, he doesn't take any credit for all of his wins while he was here. So, that's one of the reasons why everybody bought into Coach. So, there's no coach more deserving of the award, and I don't believe there's any community more deserving of the coach. So, thank you.
Okay, that's going to conclude the induction ceremony for the classes of 2020 and 2021. Definitely appreciate all the people, all of you that were able to come and help honor these inductees. Thank you. I can just tell you things like this come full circle. I had to see Dean Larson's face every day going to wrestling practice at 4 Days State. He's on the wall, part of history. I had to see all his banners are still up. Played football and wrestled with Phil P Shull's son, and obviously Terry Robbins actually coached me in baseball. That's probably why there's no record of it. He only had so much to work with. And then obviously my brother played with Ben Zucker, so I got to watch him play, and I thought he was the best athlete that I'd ever seen in all these sports. And I think Mitch Saunders is right, it's about time. That 72 class, Dave Hardesty reminded me, every year that I played football, we were not as good as them. So I definitely think they deserve that. And, knowing this history and these things, and even finding out about Earl Saunders, I thought was really neat. And Rosie Trout, I went to school with Becky, and then Coach Williams. My brother played for Coach Williams. And so, to be connected in all this some way, and to understand how important the Hall of Fame is, to recognize these people that, when you think about it, they put blood, sweat into this, and it's really important. I think, like Mitch said, they put a lot into it. To get there, it takes a lot of work, and that recognition, I think, sometimes is key. And I think, I'm from the Kansas City area, and I'm always fearful that, there's a lot of other easy things to do other than athletics. And I think that, providing this history and providing this foundation gives people something to strive for. And so I'm a proud Minneapolis graduate. I still bleed the blue and red. So I'm glad that I could be a part of it. I'm glad to find out about this history, and I'm glad to see these people get honored. And you know, some of the things that you hear, you know, growing up as a small kid are now on paper. Now, you know, they're etched on the wall, and people get to see it and read it. And you know, it's always good to know where you come from. So, everybody have a great afternoon, and thank you.